Hey, welcome back to Sister Kate Shofar Mountain. I am back on the mountain, and I am back in my mountain clothes for off-grid living. So if you thought I was glamorous in the Mayfield videos, that's why. That's not what I wear on the mountain every day. I'm in my Carhartt because it's so cold out here. I'm going to get the eggs that have not been gathered since I was gone. But I thought I'd let you in on a couple of little observations about the deployment and maybe some tips and some shout outs. That area is truly devastated. Nobody is exaggerating the amount of damage there, and many people have shared the damage in their videos. It's been shown on the news and everything like that, so we're not kidding. And I found Angry Prepper's comments about he's from the city and they never see tornadoes that bad. Kind of tells you that not everyone is subject to those kinds of weather accidents happening, but everybody has their own area emergencies: floods, tidal waves, fires, earthquakes, mudslides. And so just that it happened is a argument that prepping is probably a good idea. Now, I wanted to get to the ministry because Grindstone does have it together. They have been on enough deployments now for various and sundry reasons. So many eggs since I left. Tons and tons of eggs. Grindstone's been on a lot of missions of different kinds in the last 2 years since it started right after Michael. And so they've ironed out how they want to do their administration. They have division of labor within the volunteers. They talked about having tree crews and cooking crews, liaisons with the local community and people like Red Cross, other church groups, and that's important. When and if you either go on one of these trips or you decide you're going to start your own ministry to carry on these trips, organization is very important, because if you're successful, if your efforts bear fruit, you're going to get a lot of support. And so what Grindstone does very well there, here you can see all the eggs. They're not all clean because it's been a while since they've been gathered. And they get messier when it's raining, and it rained really hard here apparently while we were gone. If you get a lot of support, then you need to have an organization designed to handle it. And that's another thing that Grindstone has going for it, is their administration game is very strong as well. They have an organization set up so that people can email a central location, and the central location figures out, you know what, I'm not going to get those. This basket's heavy enough. I'll get the other ones later. There's some right behind me in the barrel. There's about 16 more eggs in there, but I'm going to wait to get them. Grindstone's central location divvies up information, sends on things to the guys on the ground that they need to know, like when volunteers are coming and what the guys' names are, or women's, and what they're bringing with them. They make up the list of things they recommend you bring with you. They also get contacted by donations, and whether it's the financial support or the material support, they help shunt that off to the different parts of the organization where those things need to go. The Grindstone also has its mission clearly outlined, and the guys, TJ and Alex and Jody and Rod, all of them understand their their responsibilities within the organization and what they're expected to do, again, because of having done it before. And so once everyone is gathered on the ground and are at whatever location they're doing their mission, they kind of already know and can easily, again, I'm going to use that word, organize what's going to happen next, where they're going, what they're doing, who they're in contact with, and they try to stay on mission because it helps the overall unity, and not to get sidetracked too much, not to go off on, because everybody's got great ideas. Everybody sees different aspects to the situation. Like with ours, it's tornado damage, it's a need for a shelter, it's a need for, and we got there a little bit late to help with the initial search and rescue, because search and rescue has to begin as soon as the event is over, and it's really hard hitting for the first 2 days, and then after that it kind of slows down a bit. So it was easy to see all sorts of needs all over that area, but it was pretty important for Grindstone to stay on task with what they said they were going to do and then what they did do. And one other thing I really liked about their leadership was they wouldn't overpromise help. They didn't want to say they could do something and then not do it and disappoint people. So it was also important that they understood the amount of support they could give. And it did depend on how much was donated, how much they brought with them, and how much came in the meantime. Like they talked about volunteers coming and going. You can do a lot more with a crew of 20 than you do with a crew of 10. And so that's why it was important that they know who was coming and how many people they had, and then that affects how much they promise and then follow through on. So that was all very interesting. That area of the country, really pretty. The people who live there, super friendly, super helpful, very positive. I really enjoyed that part. The fire station was amazing for a volunteer fire department. They had everything we needed. They were so helpful, even willing to wash clothes for us. So that was all just great. And I met lots of really, really nice folks there. I did want to shout out to William Smith. He came in one day, and his wife was very ill, and yet he brought in, I think, 20 turkeys and stuffing and things to donate. And then the next day he brought a personal gift for Pastor and I, and all he asked in return was a photo of he and I to give to his wife. So that was really something really humbling for me. There was a couple who lived right across from the fire station who recognized all of us and had to come over and say hi, and did, and spent time talking with us, Betty and John. And John had all this local information about the park service and location of a convention center, so on, that we never would have known about if he hadn't stopped by and said hello. And there were so many other people there. There were military vets from different parts of our military. There were private people, meaning they have their own business or their own their own job, their own career, and yet they left it and came down. People who could run chainsaws, people who were willing to pick up debris. And every single one of them came with a servant's heart, which was really, really neat to see. I thoroughly enjoyed meeting Angry Prepper from New York City. I thought he brought a fresh set of eyes to the ministry situation and also where he was helping out. And I really enjoyed his commentary on his video where he said, I'm a guy from the city. I never see tornado destruction to this extent. That was good to see someone from truly within the prepping community, and yet, excuse me, not anywhere near the Midwest, show up and give his kind of point of view there, and other New Yorkers who came down. There was, I think it's Common Sense Prepper, maybe? Common CENTS is his channel. He was a very helpful person, very friendly, giving me tips on how to cook and just commentary. Really enjoyed that. There was, man, I can't even remember all the different people. Naturalreality.com or something, prepping science channel. I'm sorry, I'm not remembering all of that. It was just a blur to me, everything that was going on. But the prepping community represented, and they came out and helped, and that was really cool too. So I went on this deployment because I felt a little voice tell me that I was going to go on that deployment, and I did. And I know the things that I was meant to see, meant to experience, meant to learn. And so I'm glad I did. I really am glad I went. You know, I'm a little long in the tooth, got some gray in my hair, but I do think I participated and was able to add something to the effort. And if you have time and the ability to volunteer for something like this, you should do it. It's good for you. It's good experience. All right, I got to lock these guys up. Sun's going down. It's dark out there. So, end of the day, that's my chore. Glad to be back on the mountain. Thanks for following me. Thanks for commenting on the videos. And bless all y'all out there using your hands for the Lord's work. All right, shalom.